But technology kept clicking me off simply because
Oh shit.
technology don't want the truth. And the truth
Shit.
is, technology is taking away
Oh,
from people knowing what their real inner
come
heart is
on.
capable of. Because technology is basically doing
Dude,
everything
let's do
for
a
you
real.
except
Dude, let's do
breathing
a
for you.
real mission.
So, once again, the truth is the truth.
Dude, let's do a real mission.
Two wrongs can't make it right. And this truth here
No, team
is
deathmatch one on
who
one.
the fuck
I
wants
mean 1-on-2.
a known rapist, murderer, killer,
Yep.
and thief as president? When
Invite
you look
me.
at
Team
Hillary
deathmatch
Clinton
1-on-2.
and her husband,
Invite me to it.
they are serpents for
Yep, I'm ready.
leadership. And
And
I look
everybody
at
get in the
these two
position.
evil
Everybody get in the
bastards,
position.
you just gotta take it for what it really is. These are two evil motherfuckers right here,
I didn't get
big
your
boy.
invite. Invite
So
me.
when you look at Hillary Clinton left after she fucked up for a little while, she left and went
Come on,
to
invite
hell
me.
knows where,
Invite me to the team
and then
deathmatch one on
came
two.
back to save her husband after
No,
she
me and you
fixed
one
that
on
shit
one
up
on
for him
top
right
six.
there.
Me and you one on
Cause
one.
I'm looking at
No.
that shit there. For her to come back and then save it, she set
I'm
all that
ready.
shit
Oh,
up
I
to
told
come
somebody
back
to
to
find
save his
me.
ass. I see that evil bitch. And when they showed her
I did
talking
what?
to some more people, ooh, when that black man laid up there and rubbed that white woman the wrong way, that white woman came back just like a racist white person would. And I tripped the fuck out just as like you people tripped out too, because they couldn't believe it. But like I said again, I saw the racist in her right there.
Oh
So he
my
could never be fair.
fucking god.
Sorry. So don't believe
What
that
is
shit
it?
there.
I
So
can't
like I
believe
said again,
this.
not a game with this Grand Theft Auto
What
I'm
is
at
get
it?
this
thrown
guy.
off as
I'm at this
kids.
guy's house,
The ones that
and
shouldn't
he's
even
with
be
a
on this game
stripper.
because it's not for no kids. I'm Mr. Glasses, I'm just saying.
I'm about
No,
to
you
now.
Your
can't kick
moms
him
and
out
your
the party.
dads
You
don't
at the
really care
house.
about you if you're on this game. Let's
Oh
go.
I'm
yeah.
ready. I'm ready.
So,
I'm ready. Let's start it. Oh, come on! How many guns do we got? Guys, stop. I want to beat your asses.
Events of your life on a day-to-day basis. It is sometimes hard to know if you are witnessing an historic turning
Guys,
point
what? Oh, give me a
or
gun.
just mistaking the noise of Washington politics as usual.
Robbie just have pistol.
But there can be no doubt that the undercurrents in the era of William Jefferson Clinton are unprecedented.
Oh,
While
shit.
U.S. Press Barton called the critical
I want a one on. I want a one-on-one.
haircut, he quietly became the first president in the nation's history to fire every U.S. attorney in the country. When he fired William Sessions in July 1993, it was also the first time in American history
Shit.
that the president had summarily dismissed an FBI.
Shit. Come on, guys. This is not fair. Nick, I need a partner. After this, I need a partner.
For these unprecedented moves by a new president.
No, you have to let somebody join.
Nine? If so, why? There are dozens of other questions that beg.
Now you put on a pickup, okay?
Bill Clinton himself
Shit.
made
Come on, guys. This is not fair.
he stated,
okay, I'm gonna let her finish you.
can
Oh, I want you two to go one-on-one.
That's what this documentary will attempt.
Guys, trouble six.
During the 1960s, students were protesting the Vietnam War on college campuses throughout.
Shit. Come on, guys. You can't be alive. Guys, do you want to get out of this mission and put that thing, that?
Clinton would climb into a tree
I want pickup.
and spend days on end to declare his own protest against the war. People in Fayetteville still recall walking a block out of their way just to avoid the strong stench that came from the ground below. The fire department
Guys, that's not fair.
on occasion to watch
Guys, next time.
trees
No, it's not fair.
unwanted free showers with their homes.
Shit.
A photo of Clinton in the tree made the school newspaper.
Let me show you. Let me show you. Come on. You said me show you.
Nah, do you get many attached with these little kids?
How many do you got? Come on, guys. How did you get us going? That's
They
not
don't
fair.
have a care in the world.
Come on, bro. Let me free you.
Taking in the flight, ground.
Why are your guns going fast?
That auto thing. He took somebody fired one car jumping the plane.
That's not fair. Like, your guns are going fast. How do you shoot me in 1 second? Guys, I need more bullets. Can you let me get more bullets? Let me get more bullets. Come on.
Guys,
Count to 20. Count to 20.
Sleep or snow. It don't matter how it goes. This could be in the day. It makes it beautiful.
Let's do it. Let's fight. Let's fight. You need the gun with me. Let's hit the gun.
You can't do
You
nothing.
spit fight.
No, me and you hit the gun.
I know that there is.
Shut up. Shut up. Oh!
Well, then, you need to come
I
in
just took down your partner. Oh, shit.
and skin
I'm not.
and human flesh.
You hit me 10 times.
He never had no kids,
Come on, let's go.
so he wasn't a father either. Man was created with a job to do. Man was created to be a father. And the creator was the teacher of this. Man is nothing but that program.
What?
For a man to be a man.
Why?
The creator gave man his direction and then gave man free will to be a fucking man for his motherfucking kids.
Die.
Rocket science. This shit is simple.
Guys, I need to turn off my
Us that don't want them
PlayStation.
to do unto you. As a little kid, you want your mom and dad to watch over you.
Bye.
So why vice versa once you had to come on adult? Supposed to be who you are and work shit out.
What a baby.
Hillary Rodham helped found the Yang Review.
Did he even have school?
The second issue devoted 50 pages to the murder.
Why is he cutting all his flesh in first?
Some of the illustrations depict police pig. One drawing shows
Hey, you want to do a race?
and another one described them as quote, a low-natured beast that has no regard for law, justice, or the rights of people. A creature that fights back and speaks. A foul, depraved traducer, usually found masquerading as the victim of an unprovoked attack. Other articles encouraged experimentation with drugs, sex, and
My house
individual
down there.
lifestyles.
One of them. That's my one in the country where I go relax and get a peace of mind after dealing with all the bullshit in the city. But these retarded kids on this game.
Some 2 million people remained among the
Why?
poorest.
You did this before.
Yearly income was less than the $50,000 annual fees at the Little Rock Country Club.
Hey,
Arkansas
boo.
families earning less than $9,000
Not fair.
nearly 4 times
Not
more
fair.
state tax proportionately than families making in excess of
Your fault here.
Arkansas remained almost last in the United States in per capita.
Boy, you giggle like you love killing people on this game. You giggle, you got a little sinister giggle. Sinister giggle.
Nowhere
Ah,
has the rain so great in Arkansas, wrote the Arkansas Times in 1992. From the multi-billionaire status of the Walmart Wall Street to the Alabama,
Man, we both turned.
where Lee County is listed as one of the 10 poorest counties in the entire nation. It's the
No, don't blow me up.
national anthem, and 2/3 of all children
Oh. Oh, I hate you so much.
In the aftermath of his 1980 election defeat, Bill Clinton began appearing every Sunday at Emmanuel Baptist Church.
Dang, who did you say that to?
Yeah, why you say that? Why you say that to your sister, man? Don't say that to your sister. Because you do care about her. I don't care, man, because that's a little girl. They be like that sometimes. But just think, no matter how mean she be, she's... All right, and you are younger. And this game is what gives you no patience for her even being mean. You should just laugh at her being mean. This game make you mean enough. Don't you think? See? So just ignore what she do and laugh
Wait
at
for
her.
me, Chunky.
Just laugh at her, because like I said again, you shouldn't let nothing make you upset in real life as much as this game make you upset in this game.
Chop that.
Yeah, tell him to get his ass up and get out the house. Tell him to get his ass up and get out the house. He shouldn't be in the house anyway. They married?
And was lucky to survive nearly a dozen attempts on his life. He was indicted 7 times on trumped-up charges, ranging from slander to conspiracy, and was once sentenced to 3 years in hard labor.
Why the cops after us?
When the main prosecution witness was
Why the cops after you for real, bro?
in 1978, in Clinton's first run for governor, a retired Air Force lieutenant colonel named Bill Garrett accused Clinton of being a draft collector by reneging on his 1969 ROTC commitment. Clinton, thinking his letters to Colonel Holmes had long since been destroyed, insisted that the ROTC agreement was canceled.
Why would you put it on? You are.
He told Colonel Holmes that he would enter the ROTC program if the commander wanted him to, but he preferred to take his chances with the draft. However, the colonel would tell a different story. In September 1992, Colonel Eugene Holmes, himself a lifelong Democrat, made a final statement on the episode and presented Clinton's letter to the press. He stated that Clinton, quote, purposely deceived me, using the possibility of joining the ROTC as a ploy, purposely destroying the military, both in concealing his anti-military activities overseas and his counterfeit intentions for later military service, unquote.
You.
That Bill Clinton entered state politics in 1971. When
What I
in
do?
1991, he had been governor for 12 years. What he had done in
No, I didn't. I didn't have to think about it. I was gonna use it as a boost.
From Clinton's first years as Attorney General, Little Rock had been awash in gossip about his blatant womanism. After he was elected president, Arkansas trooper bodyguards and others would testify to his extramarital relations with literally hundreds of women. State Trooper L.D. Brown stated that on state time and using state cars, he drove the governor to over 100 extramarital affairs and guarded him during those encounters. Brown was Clinton's favorite trooper, and he received dozens of books from the governor, many of which he still retains. In one law book, there's a sentence to the effect that adultery is not a crime, and is underlined twice in red.
Boy, Clinton, you freaky bitch, you. That boy tell you adultery is not a crime, and wrote it in red.
Governor Clinton for 6 years. More than once, Patterson said, he stood guard and witnessed the department store clerks performing oral sex on Governor Clinton in a parked car, including the parking lot of Chelsea's elementary school, and on the grounds of the governor's mansion.
It was probably the most bizarre time I spent in my team.
Nope, I ain't doing that again.
To get Clinton's talking numbers, their names.
No, you can't do that.
Block streets to set in women's driveways.
That ain't fair,
The
bro.
wee hours of 3 and 4, 5 o'clock in the morning.
No.
In their apartment complexes. That's what I was required to do.
That was just part of the job.
I was told.
Okay, hey, I'm gonna be like real close to the finish line, but I ain't gonna finish. But as soon as you right behind me, I'm going, bro. I'm
That
going.
hurt.
Soiled
I'm for real, but I'm going. I ain't.
in any way disdain for this man that you were assigned to risk, for instance, your life for. But your job is not going to turn out to be saving his life or protecting him.
Okay.
Quite frankly, you turned out to be someone assigned for some pure. I did not use that word, but how did that make you feel?
It was real easy to, to get talk and all, but but after a while, after you saw the way you treated people, that's not the way that I was taught. It was not the standards that I was raised by, and it bothered me a lot. And to the point where I talked to my supervisors about it, I talked to the director of the state police about it, and I was told, yeah, that's part of your job.
Nah, I just got off with those kids because I got some things to say about the Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton bullshit. Because I'm like this here, if any one of us would have any of the background bullshit that these motherfuckers got, you couldn't get a fucking gun. You couldn't even get, tell the truth. I don't want to know what to say about this bullshit. This is ridiculous.
Research the subject in the Bible, and oral sex isn't considered adultery. George Green of the London Sunday Times wrote, quote, "What has emerged is a man with what would appear to be an almost psychotic inability to control his zipper," unquote. The repeated testimony of state troopers would show that Clinton rated women as objects, ripe peaches, as he called them, purely to be graded, chased, dominated, and conquered. The governor had been predatory even toward one of the troopers' wives and toward another's mother-in-law. Neither then nor later did many of those around Clinton reflect on the deeper meaning of the womanizing and what it said about other aspects of a man and leader. No fewer than 4 Arkansas state troopers, including 2 past presidents of the Arkansas State Troopers Association, have now provided detailed accounts of attempts to silence them because of their knowledge about Clinton's affairs with unmerited career promotions and job offers.
Federal jobs offered by Bill Clinton when Roger Perry and Danny Ferguson and Ronnie Anderson and I first came forward, if we would keep quiet, not say anything, that we could have U.S. Marshals jobs, that we could have FEMA director jobs, if we would just keep our mouth shut.
As Bill Clinton's presidential campaign got underway, some of the troopers were considering coming forward. The commander of Clinton's security detail then threatened Roger Perry and other troopers on behalf of the President of the United States. He said the troopers' reputations would be destroyed and that they themselves would be destroyed. Larry Patterson even received a handwritten note expressing concern about his health.
Larry, did you fear Bill Clinton?
Personally, no, I did not. After I got to know the man, if it came to a confrontation between a policeman and Bill Clinton would always back down. No, I was not physically afraid of Bill Clinton. I was afraid of his power.
Larry, were you afraid of Bill Clinton's friends?
You betcha. You betcha. He had some people that...
Oh, yes, I know he did, bro.
That was quite scary.
Oh, yes, he did, bro. And any motherfucking pedophile, rapist, thief, drug dealer got some power. Because they got people that do the shit that they won't do. Because they're a bunch of pussies, most of them.
Contemptuous of policemen, whom they commonly derided as ignorant SOB Trooper Brown. In 1984, Brown accompanied Clinton to a funeral for a state trooper who had been killed by a survivalist in rural DeQueen. Brown and Clinton went into a Benson, where hundreds of mourning policemen from Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana were eating. According to Brown, Clinton said, quote, "I don't want to go in and eat with those ignorant SOB. Let's go to another one." Hillary was openly hostile, calling them pigs. One trooper said that Hillary forbade him to speak when he accompanied her on a trip to Washington because, as she put it, he, quote, sounded like a hick from Arkansas, unquote. Another officer said, quote, deep down that woman really hated Arkansas, the people in it, and almost everything else except being top dog, unquote. Troopers volunteered to work several days of consecutive 16-hour shifts just to avoid traveling with her.
Damn.
After becoming president, her attitude remained the same. A Secret Service agent was quoted as saying it was obvious that she had a clear dislike for the agents, bordering on hatred, in his opinion. On another occasion, Secret Service agents heard Hillary's daughter Chelsea refer to them as personal trained pigs to some of her friends.
Wow.
One of the agents explained to her that he was willing to put his life on the line to save hers, and he believed that her father, the president, would be shocked if he heard what she just said to her friends. Chelsea's response was, I don't think so. That's what my parents call you.
Damn.
As soon as Clinton was elected governor, he and Hillary formed a partnership with Jim and Susan McDougal in the Whitewater land deal. The McDougals would manage the business and bear most of the risk and liability, while Bill and Hillary would still enjoy a full 50% ownership. In 1979, the Clintons donated a small parcel of land near a river that flowed through Whitewater Estates to the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. The donation was contingent upon construction of a boat ramp. Once the ramp was completed, a paved access road, funded at taxpayers' expense, was built from Highway 101 to the ramp, adding substantially to the overall value and marketability of home sites. Bill Clinton had used the powers of his office to enhance the value of his real estate speculation. Many elderly buyers invested in Whitewater because, after all, it was owned by the governor and his wife. However, they made the mistake of not reading the fine print of the real estate contract. As many of them would find, if they defaulted on their monthly installments for more than 30 days, they would lose all of their equity in the land, regardless of how much they had put down or paid out. The results could be devastating. Clyde Soaps put $3,000 down and faithfully made 35 monthly payments of $244.69. When he fell desperately ill, he could no longer make his payments. Although he had paid $12,000 of the $14,000 price of the lot, he quickly lost the land and all his previous investment.
Damn.
This was a typical case. More than half of those who bought Whitewater lots would lose their land and all their equity payments. Records showed at least 16 different buyers paying in more than $50,000 and never receiving property deeds. Meanwhile, Whitewater carried on a flourishing traffic in repossessions and resales, selling some lots over and over when elderly buyers faltered on their payments. A local business
Want this as our president.
People left and right, taking advantage of a bunch
want this
of
to happen
folks
again.
on a land deal. The future president and first lady. That ought to be the real Whitewater scandal.
Right.
Real estate development was not the Clintons' only good fortune. Less than 2 months after launching Whitewater, Hillary Rodham began trading in the cattle futures market. She was allowed to open her account with a $1,000 deposit, rather than the $12,000 that mercantile exchange rules required. On October 11, 1978, her first transaction netted, within days, a $5,300 gain. Within a week, Hillary had won another $7,800 and $7,200 more only days after that. When she got out of the market in July 1979, her $1,000 investment had mushroomed into $100,000. Her 10,000% return on her investment was more than 5 times the rate of profit made by investors that had bought when she did and sold at the peak of the market during the same period. One commodities analyst said that the odds against such prescience and mastery trading
Well, I just can't keep kicking me out like this shit. Y'all don't want to hear the truth.
Dead Sea Scrolls
Fuck
on the
y'all.
steps of the State House in Little Rock. In 1995, economists at Auburn and North Florida universities ran a computer statistical model of the First Lady's trades for publication in the Journal of Economics and Statistics.
Man, that officer touched me funny.
The probability of
They don't
Hillary
just stop
Rodham
acting like a
having made her
fucking
trades
fool.
legitimately was less than 1 in 250 million. Her broker, Robert Bone, was eventually given a 3-year suspension, one of the most severe sanctions short of criminal prosecution. A 1981 audit showed that Chelsea's nanny, Dessie Sanders, was employed at the governor's mansion from the time of Chelsea's birth to the time Clinton left office. The state of Arkansas does not pay for nannies, so Governor Clinton had Dessie Sanders listed on the payroll as a security guard. During the decade of the 1980s, the Clintons' income would put them in the top 3% of American families. Despite this, the Clintons would take nearly $200,000 off their taxes in charitable contributions. Yearly totals range from about $1,000 to well over $2,300. $30 for 3 shower curtains, $40 for an old pair of Bill's running shoes, and various amounts for discarded undershorts and shirts. The 1980s would prove to be very profitable for the Clintons. Ironically, during her husband's run for the presidency, Hillary would accuse the 1980s as being the decade of greed.
I know you did it.
The Arkansas Development Finance Authority, or ADFA, was set up by Governor Clinton to ease financing for low-income housing and small businesses. The agency's expensive legal work went to favored law firms. Its lucrative underwriting to select Wall Street houses and local bond brokers, almost all of them backing Bill Clinton. There was virtually no legislative oversight or public accountability. Governor Clinton himself appointed the ADFA board and personally approved every bond issue and major transaction from 1985 through 1992. In 1985 alone, ADFA issued bonds for more than $700 million. His 1990 campaign received over $400,000 in contributions from those benefiting directly from the publicly guaranteed bonds. In the late 1980s, a nursing home chain called Beverly Enterprises was in financial trouble. A Texas banker and Hillary's employer, the Rose Law Firm, formed a non-profit corporation to buy the nursing homes. They would make millions in profits while being financed by tax-exempt state bonds. In September 1989, they were about to carry off a deal in Arkansas for the purchase of 32 nursing homes with $83 million in state bonds. At the last moment, the deal collapsed when Attorney General Steve Clark claimed he had been offered $100,000 in campaign money as a bribe to drop his opposition to the Beverly bonds. The partner who devised the nursing home scheme, William Kennedy III, would later be named a counsel to the president, one of the most powerful positions in the Clinton White House. Dan Lassiter was an Arkansas bond dealer and a close friend, as well as a major contributor to then-Governor Clinton. Clinton awarded Lassiter a $30 million bond to install a new police radio system for the Arkansas State Police. During this very period, Lassiter was under investigation by the Arkansas Police for cocaine trafficking. Intelligence reports show that the Drug Enforcement Agency had opened a file on Lassiter in 1983. The Attorney General's office in Santa Fe, New Mexico, investigated Lassiter for narcotics trafficking, with possible ties to organized crime. A federal grand jury indicted Dan Lassiter and accused him of conspiring with Bill Clinton's brother Roger Clinton and others to knowingly and willfully possess with the intent to distribute and to distribute cocaine. In the end, Lassiter was offered a plea agreement and was charged with conspiracy to distribute cocaine. He was paroled after 1 year, most of it spent in a halfway house. He was granted a full pardon by then Governor Clinton. Patty Ann Smith was 16 years old when she fell under the influence of Dan Lassiter. She was still a child, but not for long. In the offices of the
They don't be trying to let people out of jail after they find out with DNA that they wasn't the person that committed the fucking crime. And this motherfucker let motherfucker that's known to be a drug dealer out on jail on pardon. Man, it's crooked as crooked can be crooked. So y'all realize how crooked it really is. It's gonna stay crooked.
At the time, Lassiter was 40, more than twice her age. She was told by one of Lassiter's cohorts that, quote, if I ever betray his trust and hurt Lassiter in any way, I would not see daylight to tell about it anymore, unquote. She said she met Bill Clinton several times, but he was never acting like a governor when I saw him. She claims to have witnessed Governor Clinton taking cocaine on several occasions. In an interview with U.S. attorneys, a 33-year-old Little Rock woman stated that she had been started on cocaine by an associate of Lassiter's. He warned her that she was as good as dead if she ever told anything about him or Lassiter. As a circuit court clerk, Dennis Patrick's income was less than $25,000. Dan Lassiter's brokerage company would secretly run over $100 million through Dennis's account. When the FBI found out, they informed Dennis that he would be an important witness in their investigation of Whitewater. The ATF soon learned that Dennis's life was in danger and informed him that a contract was out on his life. It was then that he began wearing a bulletproof vest. After 2 attempts on his life, the police arrested a man who admitted that he had been contracted for $20,000 to kill Dennis Patrick and his wife. Patsy Thomason was given power of attorney to manage Lassiter's business empire while he was in prison. An employee at Lassiter's firm told Dennis that Thomason was in charge and that she could put an end to his nightmare. But the nightmare continued, and Dennis was stripped of his life, his name, his integrity, everything he had. He eventually fled the state for his safety as well as that of his family. Patsy Thomason was clearly a favorite of Bill Clinton. He appointed her executive secretary of the Arkansas Democratic Party, which helped build the foundations for his presidential bid. After the 1992 elections, she was given one of the most powerful positions in Washington, director of the White House Office of Administration. In this position, Thomason failed to provide proper security clearances for over 100 White House staff members, many of whom were alleged drug users. Under her direction, random drug testing for the White House staff was eliminated.
We in for some shit, bro.
Watch out, man.
This type of shit going on in there that they trying to keep it hidden. We in some shit, y'all. When I say we in some shit, we gonna feel it when the shit really go down. But the only one that really wants to go this way is the right one with the white money.
From an initial $1,000 investment was made possible through the influence of Tyson Foods counselor James Blair. After this incident, the relationship between the Clintons and Tyson Foods president Don Tyson came under examination. The resulting revelations were shocking indeed, as evidenced by the following documents from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency, which linked Don Tyson to drug trafficking. One file cited an informant who said Tyson was involved in drug traffic and stolen property. Another stated that Tyson's company aircraft was being utilized to smuggle drugs from Florida to Springdale, Arkansas. A memorandum on July 19, 1988 is centered on Don Tyson's illegal use and distribution of cocaine. It calls for a combined investigation team of FBI, DEA, IRS, and the state police. There were documents that referred to alleged hitmen employed by Tyson to kill drug dealers who owed him money. In one of them, an informer stated that Daddy Don, Donald Tyson, could put out the word to take care of you. She gave as an example a female who was found in a culvert near Highway 71 outside of Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Damn.
One woman stated that she was afraid that she might get killed as she understood that Don Tyson was a drug dealer who brought drugs in from California by truck and airplane. And a confidential informant claimed to have information on an alleged hitman for Don Tyson. None of the allegations against Don Tyson have led to criminal charges. Police officers who tried to mount a case against Tyson were destroyed by their superiors in the state police.
Damn.
Mena, Arkansas is tucked away in the remote Ouachita Mountains of western Arkansas. It became the site of one of the most enduring conspiracy theories of the late 20th century. The core allegation is that the airport was used to transport weapons to the Nicaraguan Contras, with collusion and cover-up implicating Governor Bill Clinton. It was a multi-billion-dollar gun-running, drug smuggling, and money laundering operation. Barry Seal was a legend in the cocaine trade. His drug runs were flown in from Latin America, loads averaging 300 pounds of cocaine and worth at least tens of millions of dollars, and parachuted onto remote sites in Arkansas. By the sheer magnitude of the drugs and money its flights generated, tiny Mena, Arkansas became, in the 1980s, one of the world centers of the narcotics trade, and the base of what many believe was the single largest cocaine smuggling operation in U.S. history. Larry Douglas Brown was Bill Clinton's favorite among the troopers assigned as his personal bodyguards. Brown gave hundreds of pages of testimony under oath and supporting documentation that the governor had clearly been aware of the arms and drug running out of Mena as early as 1984. The state trooper watched in despair while the governor did nothing about it. In October of 1984, Barry Seal and Brown had lunch at Cajun's Wharf in Little Rock, a popular restaurant in the Arkansas River bottoms. In conversations over the next few weeks, Seal casually referred to Clinton as the Gov, and acted like he knew the governor, Brown recalled. By December of 1985, Seal became a scapegoat and was sentenced to a halfway house in Baton Rouge. It was there that assassins found him and gunned him down in his white Cadillac on a rainy February night in 1986. IRS agent Bill Duncan and State Police Detective Russell Welch had compiled a mammoth investigative file on the Mena operation. The material became part of an eventual 35-volume, 3,000-page Arkansas State Police archive, a meticulous presentation of the Mena case for a grand jury. However, the cases were effectively suppressed. Duncan and Welch were not even called to testify before grand juries, state or federal. Duncan and Welch watched the Mena inquiry systematically quashed and their own careers destroyed as the IRS and state police effectively disavowed their investigations. On the night of August 23, 1987, just outside the little town of Alexander, Arkansas, Kevin Ives, 17, and Don Henry, 16, witnessed a cocaine drop, which was part of the drug smuggling operation in Mena, Arkansas. The boys were captured and their hands were tied behind their backs. They were kicked and beaten and finally executed. One of the boys was stabbed to death. The bodies were wrapped in a tarpaulin and placed across the railway tracks to be mangled by the next train. The Arkansas medical examiner, Fanny Malik, ruled the deaths an accident.
Wow.
He said the boys had smoked marijuana joints and had fallen into a trance on the railway tracks, side by side. As the facts would later show, the crime lab never tested the concentration of marijuana in their blood. To back Malik's ruling, Bill Clinton was the only person to whom the crime lab answered. Kevin Ives' mother, Linda, created such a stir that a grand jury was called to investigate the case. The bodies were exhumed, and a second autopsy was conducted by the Atlanta medical examiner, Dr. Joseph Berkeley. He showed an enhanced photograph of the wound to 6 other forensic investigators. They all concurred that it was a stab wound. He also found that Kevin Ives had been smashed in the head with a rifle butt. The report of the grand jury concluded that the deaths of Don Henry and Kevin Ives were definitely the result of foul play. It urged that law enforcement agencies, the prosecuting attorney's office, to continue the investigation into the deaths of Don Henry and Kevin Ives, and into the drug problem in Saline County. Because of Linda Ives' investigation into the death of her son, she was placed on Bill Clinton's enemy list by White House counsel Mark Fabian. Already, people associated with the case were beginning to die in what amounted to a reign of terror among young people in Alexander, Arkansas. April 1988, Keith Coney told his mother he knew too much about the Ives Henry murders and feared for his life. After being slashed in the neck, he was fleeing for his life on his motorcycle when he slammed into the back of a truck and was killed. Booney Bearden, a friend of the boys, disappeared. His body was never found. November 1988, Keith McCaskill claimed to have knowledge of the Ives Henry murders, but was killed before he could testify. McCaskill, knowing that his life was in danger, had said goodbye to his friends and family. He died from 113 stab wounds. January 1989, Gregory Collins claimed to have knowledge of the Ives Henry murders, but was killed before he could testify. Collins was found dead from a shotgun blast to the face. April 1989, Jeff Rose claimed to have knowledge of the Ives Henry murders, but was killed before he could testify. His body was found in the city dump, dead of a gunshot wound to the head. July 1989, Richard Winters claimed to have knowledge of the Ives Henry murders, but was killed before he could testify. Winters was silenced by a blast from a sawed-off shotgun. June 1990, Jordan Kettleson claimed to have information on the Ives Henry murders, but was killed before he could testify. He died from a shotgun blast to the head. To date, no arrests have been made in regard to these murders. Arkansas's medical examiner ruled the death of two teenage boys an accident, while several forensic investigators and the grand jury concluded they were murdered. But this was not the first nor the last time that Fannie Malek's rulings would cause controversy. In 1985, a North Arkansas man was fatally shot, and Fannie Malek ruled it a suicide. There were 4 gunshot wounds to the chest. In the 1986 case,
4 gunshot wounds to the chest. Suicide.
It was later discovered that the victim had been shot in the head. In 1992, a man's body was found with 5 bullet wounds, but Malek nevertheless ruled it a suicide. In his most incredible ruling, Malek concluded that a James Milam had died of an ulcer. However, the man's skull was later recovered. He had been decapitated with a sharp knife. That Malek survived in Arkansas is a testament to Clinton's power. Just before Clinton announced his intentions to run for president, Malek was moved to another state job. Union boss Arthur Coyle has managed to build a political alliance with the Clinton administration. He attended the White House regularly to share breakfast with the First Lady and flew with Clinton on Air Force One. Even as Coyle and the president gave each other gifts, such as expensive golf clubs, the Justice Department was filing a civil suit against Coyle. It charged he and his co-conspirators employed actual and threatened force, violence, and fear of physical and economic injury to create a climate of intimidation and fear. Members were intimidated into silence by violence, economic coercion, and by the known ties of local and international union officials with organized crime.
He needs help. We need your help, nigga.
Within days after the draft of the suit was delivered to Coyle, President Clinton sent him 2 personal letters. One thanked Coyle for his support of Democratic candidates, and another promised to share Coyle's views on labor with Labor Secretary Robert Reich.
Industry, over 65 people have invoked the Fifth Amendment
or fled the
You
country
never
in the
could
course
say
of the
no to
committee's
me, Franklin
investigation.
couldn't. I ain't so
Have
cracked
you
out I
ever
don't remember that
expressed
night
something
behind the
unavailable
burger shop.
witnesses in any
Not
matter
this
in which you
again.
prosecuted
What,
or
we
in
was
which
like
you've been
13?
involved?
But you was a man after
Actually,
that
I
night.
have. You have?
Damn, every
Give
time
me
with
a,
this
give me a
shit.
rundown on that
And
real
nothing
quick.
even happened.
I spent
It's
about
all good,
16
baby.
years doing
I know
organized
that
crime
wound
cases
ain't
in New York
healed.
City, and many people were frequently unavailable.
So was that the only time you experienced something like
That's
that?
our
Been
truck.
on for quite a while.
You know the drill.
So the only time that you experienced anything like this was when you were investigating an organized crime syndicate.
On Monday, July 19th, 1993, President Clinton called
Sooner we
FBI
get started,
Director
sooner
William
we go
Sessions
home.
to tell him that he was dismissed. It would be the first time in our nation's history that a president had fired an FBI director. He called a second time.
Dispatch,
a few minutes
what you
later.
got?
10-4. We got an entry in a handicap spot
Time was
without a
of the
sticker
essence.
at the Lucky Plucker
Sessions
and
was
Little
to leave the
Stroll.
Hoover building
Do you
effective
copy?
immediately.
You know I don't copy.
The
I'm
next
an
day,
original.
Vince
Yeah, we
Foster's
got
body
you.
was
JB
found in
still
Fort
sick.
Marcy Park.
Man, you sure
Wow.
you need me? Because you look like you know what you doing.
One,
Under the
I can't
assassination
drive.
statute,
And
the
two,
FBI
this
would
ain't no
have
work
been
for
compelled by
labor.
law to take
Oh,
over
you
the case
really
if there was
fighting the
any
feminist
question
cause
that
there,
might
ain't you,
have been
Tiny?
Like your
But to the
aunt, you
firing
mean?
of its
I
director,
saw her fake
the FBI
jogging the
was in
other day,
turmoil,
chanting
and the
some
Park
whacked
Police
out
became the lead
nonsense.
agency
That
in
bitch
charge.
is
The Park
crazy.
Service had neither
Yeah,
the
that
depth
we
nor
can't
the
agree on.
experience
And I
to
got
investigate a case
qualifications,
this
honey.
Like
Which
hell you
led
do.
Betty to the
I got a
follow-up question.
certificate in
Was it the
cosmology.
intention of the
You
White
never
House
seen my
to
nails.
limit the scope of the investigation?
What, you going into space now?
Vince
You
Foster had been
always
a close
did think
friend
you
of
was
Bill
so
Clinton's in their boyhood
clever.
town of Hope, Arkansas.
Remember Davis
As
High? You
Deputy
didn't
White
learn
House
shit.
counsel for the Clinton administration, Foster
that
became
school.
the highest-ranking U.S.
You
government
got your
official
math on the
to
corner
die under
today.
mysterious circumstances since President John F. Kennedy. He, more than anyone else, knew the financial secrets of both the campaign of 1992 and the Clinton presidency, just as he knew the secrets of the Rose Law Firm and of Hillary Rodham Clinton's business and financial dealings over the previous decade. Dealings that would become the subject of numerous investigations. On July 22nd, Foster's briefcase was searched twice by Bernard Nussbaum in the presence of Justice Department officials and the U.S. Park Police. 4 days later, a suicide note mysteriously appeared in the briefcase. It was torn into 28 pieces with one piece missing. No fingerprints were found on the note. Only a partial palm print of Nussbaum. Distinguished handwriting experts were contacted, the most famous being Dr. Reginald Alton of Oxford University in England. The note, he said, was a fake. It was the work of a forger. Associate Independent Counsel Mikel Rodriguez was not a
We're
conservative.
on, boo. Let's move it
Indeed,
out.
when he arrived from California with his ponytail, his earring, and his leather jacket, there were some that said Kenneth Starr had gone too far in his efforts to recruit liberal Democrats and ethnic minorities to his team. Rodriguez spent his time combing through the archive of documents in the Foster case. He didn't like what he saw. He managed to gain access to the locked files in the office of the Independent Counsel. Hidden inside
This
was a
ain't a job
folder
for
of
making new
crime scene
friends, is it?
photographs.
I thought
that
you
had
been into some
deliberately
repo
withheld
work.
from prosecutors.
Yeah, that's true. Same
Among
shit,
them
but
was the
nicer
original
cars.
Polaroid of
It's an
Foster's
honest
neck.
dollar, and there ain't many of those
Rodriguez went to the
around.
An
Smithsonian
honest dollar that I ain't
Institution for
seen yet.
Enhancement Review.
Man, JB need to get his
The
head
blow-up
straight.
photo
JB's
revealed
going through a hard
giant-sized
time.
wound on the
A
right
hard
side of
time
Foster's
sitting
neck,
on his ass smoking
suggesting
crack.
a gunshot
I gotta
fired
keep his
at
hours up.
point-blank range
Word is
into
they
the
gonna
leg.
sell the business. I knew
The
on ain't
medical
good news for the
examiner
drivers with no
at the scene
papers.
was Dr.
JB
Hobbs.
sold his social for
After
a piece
examining
2 years
Foster's
back.
body,
I
he
see
made
the
reference
problem,
to a
but I
wound
just
on
don't see that
Foster's
as
neck
mine.
on page
You
2 of
too
his
good
report.
to cover a brother now?
This finding
I'm
was
here,
in
ain't I?
agreement with two of
I've been
Foster's
covering that
workers
brother for
who
20
testified
years.
before the Whitewater grand jury that they too saw a gunshot wound on Foster's neck. Incredibly, in the official autopsy report of Vincent Foster, a gunshot wound to the head is listed, but the wound on the neck is completely left out. The official autopsy conducted by Dr. Potter states that there was a large 1 by 1 1/4 inch exit wound found on Foster's head. Both Fisk and Starr in their final reports similarly maintained that there was an exit wound. on Foster's head.
Drop it in the
However,
marked area.
this is in direct
Same as
conflict
before,
with
honey.
those who examined the body at the scene. A 38 special will take the back of your head off. Blood and brain matter everywhere. Yet no skull fragments or brain matter were found by the FBI.
And you learned nothing last time?
2 days
I'll
after
make it up to
Vincent
you,
Foster's
Franklin.
body was
You know
discovered
I
in
will.
Fort Marcy Park,
See you
an
round.
FBI memo was sent to then acting director Floyd Clark. It says in part, quote, preliminary results of the autopsy include the finding that a 38 caliber revolver constructed from 2 different weapons was fired into the victim's mouth with no exit wound, unquote. This was in agreement with Detective John Rawls, who examined Foster's body at the scene. He agreed that there was no exit, and in fact stated that he thought the bullet might still be lodged in Foster's head. Paramedics Corey Ashford and Roger Harrison put the body in a bag for transport to the morgue, yet neither of them saw an exit wound or any blood, either on the body or on the ground beneath the body. This was in agreement with Dr. Howe, who examined the body at the scene and wrote in his report that the wound was mouth to neck. Paramedic Todd Hall was one of the first to arrive. He testified before the grand jury that he saw 2 men running away from the scene into the woods. Paramedic Richard Arthur, who had attended to 25 to 30 gunshot deaths in his 9 years as a rescue worker, believed it was a homicide. I've just never seen a body looking so perfectly straight, he said. His colleague, Corey Ashford, also had coded the death as a homicide. For 4 months, Rodriguez probed the case. He called witnesses before a grand jury and soon discovered serious indications of a compromise. By the early spring of 1995, he was starting to probe a hypothesis that the crime scene at Fort Marcy Park had been staged, that the gun had most likely been planted in Foster's hand, and that a crucial photograph of Foster's neck and head had been falsified. He turned to his boss, Kenneth Starr, for support. Nothing was done to resolve the matter. In March 1995, Rodriguez resigned. The only serious investigation ever conducted into the death of Vincent Foster came to an abrupt end. The confidential witness had stopped at Fort Marcy Park and had ventured about 700 feet into the wooded groves where he spotted a body lying in the dense foliage. He looked as if he'd been dead for a long time. I mean hours, he said. The bed of dried leaves below the body had been very heavily trampled, and his hands were neatly next to his body with the palms up. He said under oath to a congressional delegation that he saw no weapon, no weapon. There was nothing in Foster's hands. A Park police photo shows a 38 Colt revolver hooked on Foster's thumb. It was made from parts of at least 2 separate weapons, and it had 2 different serial numbers. The only recorded sale to gun retailers of both serial numbers was in 1913. That was too old to trace. Foster's fingerprints were not found on the gun, although a print belonging to someone else was found under one of the detachable grips. A 38 special has a fierce recoil and can throw one's hand back over their head. However, the large sight of the gun did not damage Foster's teeth or gum tissue, and the gun was neatly at his side. Residents of homes as close as 300 yards away were never interviewed by the Park police as to whether they had heard a gunshot. The bullet was never found. No matching ammunition was found in Foster's house. Also, note the heavy foliage around the body, which is inconsistent with the dirt pathway in front of the second cannon where the police claim the body was found. Foster would have had to walk 700 feet into the park, yet the FBI lab tests found no coherent soil on Foster's shoes. Investigators doing simulation walks found an abundance of soil on their shoes. 2 homicide detectives who performed their own 2-month investigation into the Foster case concluded that the crime scene had likely been staged, with the gun placed in Foster's hand to make it look like a suicide. This report, funded by the Western Journalism Center in California, was prepared by Vincent Scalise and Fred Santucci, both veteran homicide experts from the New York City Police Department. Two witnesses, Mark and Judy, were interviewed by the FBI in April 1994. They drove a white Nissan into the parking lot at Fort Marcy Park. Judy said she saw a man sitting in Vince Foster's Honda. Mark said that a man with long blonde hair had been standing by the open hood of Foster's car. Blonde hairs were later found on Foster's undershirt, his trousers, belt, socks, and shoes. But the FBI never tried to identify these. Kenneth Starr concluded his report in July 1997 without calling these two witnesses before the grand jury. Another witness, Patrick Knowlton, stopped by Fort Marcy Park to relieve himself. He saw a car and Foster's suit jacket folded over the driver's seat. But it was not Foster's car. He also saw a threatening Hispanic man on watch in the parking lot of Fort Marcy Park. After telling the FBI what he saw, Mr. Knowlton was asked not to mention what he saw to the press. Mr. Knowlton agreed. 17 months later, he discovered through an investigative reporter his statements to the FBI had been changed. Knowlton's description of the unoccupied car in the lot was twisted, so it could have been Vince Foster's, even though his real statement rules out any possibility of the car being Foster's. The time he was at the park is explained. It fails to say that Knowlton could pick the suspicious character out of the lineup. Through his attorney, Patrick Knowlton submitted a 20-page evidential insert to the three-judge panel that appointed Kenneth Starr. As he put it, to make sure that the report was full and complete. Attached was Exhibit 1, which is a map of the cars in the Fort Marcy lot. Knowlton was parked next to an older model Honda that was not Vince Foster's car. According to the official record, the best estimates put the time of Mr. Foster's death at between 2 and 4 p.m. However, Mr. Foster's body was discovered at 5:45 p.m., or approximately 70 minutes after Patrick had left the park. Mr. Foster, therefore, could not have driven to the park in his Honda. Exhibit 2 is a map depicting the harassment Patrick suffered. The day he was subpoenaed to testify before the grand jury, he was harassed by at least 25 men, who would walk toward him or came at him from behind with threatening glares in their eyes. This technique is known to federal intelligence and investigative agencies, and its objects are twofold. One, to intimidate and warn witnesses in connection with his grand jury testimony, and two, to destabilize him and discredit his testimony before the grand jury. In this exhibit, Mrs. Foster could identify only a silver gun. So FBI agents apparently showed Lisa Foster a silver gun, told her it was found in Mr. Foster's hand, and falsely reported that she identified the black gun found in Mr. Foster's hand as belonging to Mr. Foster. And yet another exhibit shows that the FBI concealed the gunshot wound in Mr. Foster's neck by concealing the contents of the medical examiner's report, which states that there was a gunshot wound in Mr. Foster's neck, falsely reporting that the 35mm photographs were underexposed, concealing that Polaroid photographs vanished, and concealing that autopsy x-rays had in fact been taken. That in the U.S. Park Police report, Dr. Beyer discussed the existence of x-rays. That the technician who installed the x-ray machine said that it was in good working condition. But the Fisk report stated that the x-ray machine was inoperable at the time of Foster's autopsy, and as a result, no x-rays were taken. The sequence is crystal clear. In his notebook, Detective Rolla writes, "Dead body, Fort Marcy, warm sunny day." His handwritten notes also indicate that he called the Secret Service at the White House at 6:45 p.m. 20 minutes later at 7:05 p.m., Secret Service logs show that Patsy Thomason checked into the offices of administration, where Vince Foster's office was. Foster had kept important documents on Whitewater and other matters in his safe, and a short time later, a group from the Technical Security Division was logged in with her. They were experts in locks and safes. Trooper Roger Perry was on duty at the guard shack of the Arkansas Governor's Mansion when a call came through from the White House. Trooper Larry Patterson tells the story.
I had just gotten off work, had driven from State Police Headquarters to my apartment complex. Arrived home no later than 5 p.m. When I was just inside my apartment. I had not taken off my uniform. I had not gotten a Coke or a glass of water or something out of the refrigerator. I was in my apartment looking at my mail, getting ready to undress. The phone rang. I pick it up. It's Roger. He said, "Larry, you will not believe what just happened." He said, "Ella Dickey just called from White House and said that Vince Foster had just gotten off work, walked out in the parking lot and shot himself in the head." So this was the latest, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, Washington, D.C. time.
Perry relayed the message to Governor Jim Guy Tucker. He also called Lynn Davis, the former commander of the Arkansas State Police. 4 men in Little Rock knew about the death of Vincent Foster before 6 p.m. Washington time. At least 15 minutes before the Park Police discovered the body in Fort Marcy Park.
Yeah.
President Clinton appeared on Larry King Live at 9 p.m. It was being broadcast in the library of the White House. About 20 minutes before he went on the air, a CNN makeup artist was preparing the president for his television appearance when a man walked in and announced that a note had been found in Vince Foster's office. So the White House Secret Service, Chelsea Snappi, and 3 troopers in Arkansas had known for several hours, but Bill Clinton went on Larry King as if he knew nothing of Foster's death. At the time of Vince Foster's death, Hillary Clinton was in Los Angeles. As the LA Times reported, she cut her trip short and flew to Little Rock the day of his death. No reason was given as to the sudden change of schedule. Former FBI Director William Sessions stated that the Foster case had been compromised from the beginning. It was compromised when the White House took control of the FBI, firing Sessions the day before Foster's death. Gerald Parks was a Little Rock private investigator who became deeply enmeshed in the Clinton political machine. He later became head of security for the Clinton-Gore National Campaign headquarters in Little Rock. Later, during the early stages of the presidential campaign, Parks claimed to have made at least 2 trips to the airport near Mena, Arkansas. He said that Vince Foster had paid him $1,000 cash for each trip. He would pick up a trunk load of money from the Mena airport and deliver the money to Vince in the Kmart parking lot. Jerry's wife, Jane, was the manager of an apartment complex where Bill Clinton's brother Roger was living. Many times the governor would appear and indulge in marijuana and cocaine with his brother. Girls as young as 17 or 18 years of age were sometimes there to party with the Clinton brothers. When Jane told her husband about the goings-on in Roger Clinton's apartment, he began to write down names, dates, and license plates. He snapped photos from another balcony. Over a period of time, Parks had collected a thick dossier on the comings and goings of Bill Clinton. Jane Parks revealed that her husband had carried out sensitive assignments for the Clinton circle for almost a decade, and the person who gave him his instructions was Vince Foster. Foster had called the Parks home more than 100 times, identifying himself with the code name the Congressman. By the late 1980s, Vince trusted Parks enough to ask him to perform discreet surveillance on the governor. He needed it for Hillary because she wanted to gauge exactly how vulnerable her husband would be to charges of philandering if he decided to launch a bid for the presidency. Jane claims that about a week before his death, Vince Foster telephoned her husband. Hillary was worried that there might be something in the files that could cause damage to Bill or herself. Jerry told Vince Foster that there was indeed plenty to hurt both of them. But you can't give her those files. That was the agreement. A few days later, Foster again called the Parks residence. He was calling from a payphone. He said he was going to meet Hillary at the flat, and he was going to give her the files. Parks then said, "You can't give Hillary those files. She's capable of doing anything." 2 days later, Vince Foster was dead. When he learned of Foster's death, Jerry Parks told his wife, "I'm a dead man." For the next 2 months, he was in a state of fear. He would carry a pistol to fetch the mail. On his way to the office, he would double back or take strange routes. 2 months later, on a Sunday afternoon, Jerry had dinner at El Chico Mexican restaurant. On the way back, a car pulled up beside him and shot and killed him with a 9mm handgun at point-blank range. His home was broken into before he was murdered. The only thing taken from his home was the files he had on Clinton's activities. Trooper Ferguson's ex-wife, Kathy, was to be one of the key witnesses for the prosecution in the Paula Jones case, and had been openly vocal about her belief in Paula's testimony. 4 days after Paula Jones filed her lawsuit against Bill Clinton, Kathy Ferguson was found dead of a gunshot wound to the head. Her death was ruled a suicide. The following is an affidavit of Sherry Butler, who was one of Kathy's best friends. Quote, "Kathy Ferguson had been a friend of mine from 1991 to 1994, and on occasion had mentioned that while attending functions at the governor's mansion, then Governor Bill Clinton had cornered her in the kitchen of the mansion and pinned her to the counter. Shortly before her death, Kathy stated that what Paula Corbin Jones was saying about Clinton was the truth, and, quote, "I wouldn't put anything past Bill Clinton," unquote. Kathy Ferguson had been a nurse, and a number of medical personnel attended her open casket funeral. Her autopsy report had placed the fatal bullet's entrance wound at the right temple, with the exit wound at the left temple, making it a possible suicide. However, at the funeral home, 3 nurses, an RN and 2 LPNs, decided to make a careful examination of the wound. Yet none of them saw any wound at the left temple. What they did see looked to be a large, blown-out exit wound in the right temple. This puzzled them, because they knew Ferguson was right-handed. This prompted them to look for an entrance wound on the left side. One of the nurses rolled the corpse's head to the side. All 3 nurses were then able to see a cotton-stuffed wound behind the left ear. Several other hospital colleagues subsequently visited the funeral home and made the same observation. The following is an affidavit of Samuel Houston, MD. "I have been contacted by 6 nurses, who each described the head wounds of Kathy Ferguson at the open casket funeral, and described a small, clean, quarter-size hole with cotton balls stuffed within it behind her left ear, and a large blown-out wound to the right temple, pulling the right eye over. None of the above nurses saw any wounds on the area of her left temple on careful examination of her head." So, according to the testimony of a doctor and 6 nurses, the bullet may have entered from behind the left ear and exited at the right temple, making Kathy Ferguson's death a possible homicide. Dr. Houston recalled his last conversation with Ferguson on the day before her death. She told him that she wished she did not know as much as she knew concerning the Arkansas State Troopers and their activities, and those of Danny Ferguson. Bill Shelton was an Arkansas police officer and boyfriend of Kathy Ferguson. He had been publicly critical of the ruling that stated Kathy's death was a suicide. A month later, Shelton was also shot behind the ear, and his death was also ruled a suicide.
If it wasn't true, it
November
wouldn't be on TV.
1993, Kathleen Willey was leaving the Oval Office from a private meeting with President Clinton when she ran into her friend, Linda Tripp. Willey told Tripp that Clinton kissed her and fondled her. Tripp described Willey as disheveled. Her face was red, her lipstick was off, and she was flustered. Kathleen's husband, Ed Willie was manager of the Clinton Presidential Finance Committee. He was found shot to death a few hours after his wife's incident with Clinton. The death was ruled a suicide. Newsweek magazine had dropped hints that a former White House staffer was about to go public with her story of sexual harassment at the White House. A few days later, on July 6, 1997, Mary Catherine Mahoney and 2 other employees at Starbucks coffee shop died of gunshot wounds. The restaurant's doors were locked when the victims were found, and nothing appeared to have been stolen, although nearly $4,000 was in the store at the time. Mary Mahoney was shot as many as 5 times. The Washington Post characterized the crime as an execution-style murder. She had been heavily involved in presidential politics, working on Bill Clinton's campaign in 1992, and served as a White House intern during the first Clinton administration. November 1997. A transmission shop owner opened the trunk of a tornado-ravaged car and found a trunkload of documents. Among them, a 1982 cashier's check for $27,000 payable to Bill Clinton. The source of the funds for the check was the McDougal Savings and Loan. The shop owner, Johnny Lawhon, was reluctant to talk about his discovery. He said, quote, "Clinton is the most powerful man in the world," and Lawhon later died in an automobile accident. James McDougal had stated, quote, "Immediately concurrent with the check being found, I started getting a lot of heat. I am a prisoner of the executive branch." He was serving a 3-year sentence in the Federal Medical Center in Fort Worth, Texas, and was cooperating with the independent counsel in the investigation of the president. He was scheduled to testify before the grand jury. Against doctor's orders, McDougal was given an injection of Lasix, a diuretic. He was then put in solitary confinement, where he died of cardiac arrest. Ron Brown was the target of a major probe headed by independent counsel Daniel Pearson. There were allegations that Brown had received a bribe from a Vietnamese businessman. He was also being investigated for numerous scandals by the FBI, the FDIC, the Congressional Oversight Committee, the Energy Department, the Senate Judiciary Committee, and even his own Congress Department Inspector General. Brown's business partner, Nolanda Hill, would later testify in March 1998 that White House officials wanted him to cover up the scheme involving the sale of U.S. trade mission slots to executives in exchange for contributions for the upcoming Clinton Gore presidential campaign and the Democratic Party. She said, "Ron expressed to me his displeasure that the purpose of the Congress trade missions had been and were being perverted at the direction of the White House." On April 3rd, 1996, an Air Force Boeing 737 carrying Congress Secretary Ron Brown and 34 others on a trade mission to the Balkans crashed into a hillside near Croatia's Dubrovnik Airport. Air Force procedure called for a 2-step investigation. However, for the first time in memory, the Air Force canceled the first step, which called for a safety investigation of a crash on friendly soil. An autopsy on Brown's body reportedly had been part of this investigation. They instead went directly to the second and final step, consisting mostly of legal proceedings that would mirror the sentiments of the Pentagon and White House officials, who implied the crash was nothing more than an accident. The Croatian wire service reported that the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder had been recovered. Later, the Pentagon disputed this, saying that no voice recorder was on board. But Hillary Clinton flew on the very same aircraft 2 weeks prior, making it unlikely the voice recorder would not have been on board. The Air Force concluded that Brown's plane was 10 degrees or almost 2 miles off course. Maintenance chief Nico Jersic was in charge of the ground beacons and was scheduled to be grilled by the U.S. Air Force Accident Investigation Team. However, he was found shot to death 3 days following the crash. His death was ruled a suicide. Over 3 hours after the crash, the first search party arrived on the scene and miraculously found a survivor. Air Force Tech Sergeant Kelly Kelly was found alive and would have helped officials with their investigation into the crash. But she died of a broken neck on the way to a nearby hospital. Lieutenant Steve Cogswell, a forensic pathologist who investigated the crash, contends there is evidence that Ron Brown might have been murdered. He said, quote, essentially, Brown had a 4/500-inch inwardly baffling circular hole in the top of his head, which is essentially the description of a 45-caliber gunshot. This man needs an autopsy. This whole thing stinks, unquote. Several personnel were present while Colonel Gormley was conducting his external examination. The photographer present was Chief Petty Officer Kathleen Janoski, a 22-year veteran.
I opened up my big mouth in the morgue and said, wow, look at the hole in Ron Brown's head. It looks like a bullet hole. I said that, and my life has never been the same since.
Damn.
All of the X-ray films of Brown's head have disappeared. There were allegedly many photos taken of Brown that were stored in the safe, but these photos, along with the negatives, have also disappeared. All that remains of the head X-rays are photographic slide images taken by Janoski. Dr. Cyril Weck has nearly 40 years of experience, has conducted some 13,000 autopsies, and is considered one of the nation's most prominent forensic pathologists. He is also prominent in Democratic Party politics. He says there was more than enough evidence to suggest a possible homicide in the death of Ron Brown, and an autopsy should have been conducted on his body. As he stated, quote, it's not even arguable in the field of medical legal investigation whether an autopsy should have been conducted on Ron Brown, unquote. And Lieutenant Colonel Cogswell stated, quote, you can't ignore who this person is. To stack up the coincidences, one of 35 people has got a hole in their head. The hole is dead center in the top of their head, and it just happens to be the most important person on the planet from a political point of view. That's a whole lot of reason to investigate, unquote. In late 1993, the White House Office of Personal Security, headed by Craig Livingstone, illegally obtained from the FBI the confidential background files on more than 900 Bush administration officials and other perceived enemies of President Clinton. At the request of Hillary Clinton, the files were to be uploaded onto White House computers so that sensitive information could be shared with the Democratic National Committee. These files contain all allegations, rumors, or statements made about the individual during FBI background checks, whether or not confirmed, proved, or even credible. Livingstone had a history of prior drug use, which should have disqualified him from serving the White House. However, senior White House counsel William Kennedy III said that Livingstone was hired on orders from the First Lady. Other evidence indicates that this illegal activity was likely approved by President Clinton. Congressman Bob Barr comments on this frightening scenario.
Chuck Colson, who is now a born-again Christian and a prominent speaker on prison reform and religion in America, went to federal prison, went to jail because he misused a single government law enforcement file. Yet we now know that the Clinton administration misused perhaps upwards of 1,000 or more FBI files, which include and contain very sensitive information on average American citizens. And clearly, what the Clinton administration is trying to do is orchestrate a systematic effort to thwart justice, to thwart the rule of law, to thwart legitimate investigation by the Congress, whether it's impeachment proceedings or regular oversight. They're clearly designed as they are with going after Kenneth Starr, the independent counsel, and other independent counsels, trying to derail investigations. They're trying to derail prosecutions. It is very well orchestrated, and I'm sorry to say, in some degree, it is succeeding. It is things with the compilation of enemies lists, enemies files, FBI files. It is systematic. It is abuse abusive. I believe it is illegal, and it is very frightening because this is precisely the sort of stuff, except on a much larger scale, that forced President Nixon to generate.
Who was the biggest contributor to the Clinton war ticket in 1992? Not a corporation, not a labor union, not a Hollywood mogul, but Indonesian businessman James Riyadi, who gave $450,000 to elect Bill Clinton. The Riyadis and their executives gave an additional $600,000 to the Democratic National Committee and Democratic state parties. The Riyadis' corporate flagship is the Lippo Group, a multi-billion-dollar financial conglomerate with business ties to China's communist government. The patriarch of the business empire, Mokhtar Riyadi, and all three of his sons have fled the country. In 1977, Mokhtar Riyadi became partners in one of America's largest investment banks, Stevens Incorporated in Little Rock, Arkansas. His son, James Riyadi, interned there and soon began a friendship with Arkansas Attorney General Bill Clinton. Thus began a friendship that has lasted 20 years and has spread a web of intrigue, financial corruption, and foreign influence into American government. In return for their generosity, the Riyadis and their friends were given unparalleled access to the White House. On the afternoon of April 19, 1993, 80 members of the Branch Davidian religious covenant were holed up in their compound outside Waco, Texas. On that same day, James Riyadi, John Huang, and other Chinese officials were visiting President Clinton in the Oval Office. The television in the corner showed CNN's live coverage of the burning compound as 17 American children were dying in a burning encampment. But the president took time out to give his visitors a tour of the White House. In their book, Year of the Rat, Edward Timberlake and William Triplett have connected the dots between the Clinton White House and the Communist Chinese. Some examples are as follows. The Riyadi family, with connections to Communist China's KGB, became the largest contributor to the Clinton Gore campaign in 1992. Communist agents and representatives of Chinese organized crime were granted extraordinary access to the White House. They had targeted Bill Clinton 15 years earlier when he was an obscure politician in Arkansas. America's defense and foreign policy have been twisted to benefit Clinton and Gore foreign backers, including the Chinese military. Nearly 100 witnesses have either fled the country or taken the Fifth Amendment. William C. Triplett II is the former chief counsel to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He has 30 years of experience working on China and national security. We asked him about the Riyadi family.
I tried to come into the United States in the late 70s, in Georgia. That didn't work out. Ultimately, in Little Rock. And in Little Rock, in the late 70s, the heir apparent to the family fortune, met Mr. Clinton when he was then Attorney General of Arkansas, and for then perhaps 20 years with
This don't make no fucking sense.
Their man in the United States was a man named John Huang, who was also threatening to release from Taiwan. He was in the United States. He looked after their business interests here and also their campaign interests. He was in charge of buying the jobs. In 1992, Mr. Clinton, in the spring, was in trouble. It had been discovered that he was a draft dodger. The Jennifer Flowers business had come out, and he was out of money for the New York Chronic. What happened then was that the Riyadi family has a bank in Arkansas, and the bank gave largely campaign. And that was enough to get him the nomination. So I think one could say that they were instrumental in getting him the nomination and the election in 1992.
It's really quite outrageous for a dollar that is an American citizen provides to a candidate or a party of their choice being neutralized by a dollar coming in a million times over from a foreign source, not just a foreign source, but a adversarial source, namely Communist China.
The Riadi family is not a public charity. They wanted something for their money. So after Bill Clinton got elected, they sent a letter to Bruce Lindsay, who was in charge of personnel in the Clinton administration, saying that they had invested in Mr. Clinton. What they wanted was for their man, John Huang, to be moved into the American government, and they succeeded. In January 1994, Huang, who had been the area manager for Riadi's bank in Liverpool, received a top-secret security clearance for his new job at the Commerce Department. According to phone records, Huang made over 400 calls to various parts of the Riadi and Little Empire. 170 calls were to Hong Kong, Indonesia, and Red China. CIA agents have testified that they gave Huang 37 classified one-on-one briefings in his office at Congress. They estimate that he could have seen as many as 550 pieces of American intelligence. Huang later went to work for the Democratic National Committee, where he would have normally lost his security clearance. But much pressure was put on Assistant Commerce Secretary Charles Meissner, and Huang was able to keep his security clearance. Charles Meissner later died in the same plane crash that killed Ron Brown. One official said, "A lot of secrets died with Chuck Meissner." We now know that during the 1996 campaign, John Huang was actively seeking campaign funds for Bill Clinton sources, who have ties to organized criminal syndicates, narcotics trafficking, gambling, prostitution, and Communist China's intelligence services. During this same period, he had access to highly classified information. Lieutenant Colonel Liu Chao-yi is the daughter of General Liu Hui-king, China's premier PLA officer and an old revolutionary communist soldier. She also studied Marxism-Leninism at the Chinese People's University in Beijing, a major training center for the future Communist Party officials. Colonel Liu is a communist. She is a high-tech spy. She was an official of 2 red Chinese companies that deal in arms trafficking.
She ran at least tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars through Johnny Chung into the Democratic National Committee, and she met Clinton twice at fundraisers.
According to FBI Director Louis Freeh, Chinese criminal gangs called triads have emerged as a significant and violent force in the United States, committing contract murders, extortion, drug trafficking, kidnapping, prostitution, weapons smuggling, and money laundering. The triads have been guests of the Clinton White House many times and have made illegal contributions to the Clinton-Gore re-election campaign. Neg Lap Singh is a Macau criminal syndicate figure who visited the White House on many occasions. He attended a number of fundraisers and even sat next to the president at some of them. Neg Lap Singh and others are partners in Engdu International of Thailand, a firm that procures Thai women, many of them underage, for prostitution. In May 1996, these men were honored guests at a Clinton fundraiser.
Charlie Tree is another person from Taiwan. He grew up in a rough neighborhood that is the breeding ground for a criminal element called triads. He came to the United States to work in the kitchen of his sister's Chinese restaurant in Little Rock. Became friends with Mr. Clinton when he was an Arkansas official and so forth and so on. And when he became the president, he used that to exploit his business interests. He became a friend of a man from Macau, and we think they both became connected through Chinese gangster connections. And the man from Macau became his, in essence, his sponsor and sugar daddy, if you will. The man from Macau is in the business of exploiting women for prostitution. He owns a hotel in Macau that is a brothel, and with 2 other men, he owns a separate company that procures Thai women for prostitution in Macau.
Charlie Tree had been in Little Rock since the late 1970s and had known the Clintons for almost as long. Thus, he was the perfect triad messenger and agent in place for the People's Republic of China, ready to be reactivated without suspicion. As the Canadian study of triad behavior points out, once a triad, always a triad. For the past 50 years, the United States has guaranteed Taiwan's independence against Communist China's threat of forcible reunification. In March 1996, Taiwan, or the Republic of China, was preparing for a national ritual that the People's Republic of China despises. The ritual is called elections. When Taiwan's elections proceeded on schedule, the People's Liberation Army launched several of its intermediate-range ballistic missiles by firing them into the Pacific just off the north and south ends of the island. Clinton then sent battle groups from the 7th Fleet, including its two largest aircraft carriers, the Independence and the Nimitz, into the Taiwan Straits. This time, Clinton did the right thing. After this incident, two things happened. First, a top Chinese official in Beijing intimated to the U.S. Embassy that an attack against Los Angeles would be in the prospects if the United States interfered in Communist China's campaign of intimidation against Taiwan. But the Red Chinese government also tried a second channel. They sent Charlie Tree carrying a letter and a bag of money. On the morning of March 21st, 1996, Tree dropped off several $100,000 to the President and the First Lady's favorite charity, the Presidential Legal Defense Trust. On the same day, Tree also delivered to the White House a letter about the situation in Taiwan. Excerpts from the letter are as follows. Once the hard parties of the Chinese military inclined to grasp U.S. involvement as foreign intervention, is U.S. ready to face such challenge? It is highly possible for China to launch real war. I hope the President will carefully consider these issues and make the decisions that are beneficial to the U.S., China, and Taiwan altogether. President Clinton's reply letter read, "The redeployment of the Independence and the Nimitz was intended as a signal to both Taiwan and the PRC that the United States was concerned about maintaining stability in the Taiwan Strait region. It was not intended as a threat to the PRC." This letter was a complete sellout of Taiwan. Clinton, in effect, was saying that his administration would no longer be prepared to deter Beijing from any menacing actions it may take toward Taiwan. Bill Clinton had caved in the face of pressure from Beijing by a letter that was not delivered through public or diplomatic channels, but by a man whose previous experience was a member of a notorious triad gang, a fry cook from a Chinese restaurant in Little Rock, who was under indictment for violating election laws.
And look the fuck out!
The President made a mistake and just overlooked what the Chinese government did at Tiananmen Square and gave them most favored nation status.
On June 4th, 1989, Chinese tanks and armored personnel carriers rolled into Tiananmen Square to confront pro-democracy students from 4 of Beijing's most prestigious universities. The students were unarmed and practitioners of nonviolence. When it was over, some 4,000 to 6,000 people lay dead in the streets of Beijing.
We know who did it. We know the names of the Chinese units. We know their commanding officers. We know everyone. And the reason we know is because NATO's military attaches had spread all over the city that night, and they were reporting from all points of the city. And we know who the commanders of the Chinese units were and what they did. And they killed the Chinese units, and they knew what they were doing, and they knew it.
Congress reacted immediately, forcing President Bush to cut off all military exchanges with the PLA. This policy stood for the next 4 years.
As soon as President Clinton was elected, that policy was reversed. And so, as near as we can tell, every Chinese general who was personally involved in killing Chinese young people has been to the United States and received royal treatment. Typically, how this works is as follows. The Chinese general comes here in secret, goes to the Pentagon, gets a 19-gun honor guard salute. He would go to the White House, meet with the president in the Oval Office for discussions. Then he will be taken to American military bases to learn things about the military that we think they should not, and then he goes home. And we're talking somewhere between a dozen and 2 dozen generals.
The Clinton administration has shown senior PLA officers our most modern military facility. Shown PLA a Marine amphibious landing exercise. Shown them around our latest guided missile cruiser. Given the PLA Chief of Staff a tour of our military command center in the Pacific. Escorted the PLA Chief of Staff around an American nuclear attack submarine.
General Hsu was in tactical control the night of the massacre, and he is the one who gave the order to the troops, mount up and move out. He is the man who, in fact, was the closest we could point to ordering the massacre of the young people.
On the day of the Tiananmen massacre, General Hsu shoulders more responsibility for the deaths of his countrymen than any other Chinese officer. Under his orders, children as young as 3 years of age died from PLA gunfire. Upon his arrival at the Pentagon, General Hsu received a 19-gun salute. Defense Secretary Perry told General Hsu that his visit had great symbolic significance. Perry pledged to brief the PLA on U.S. strategy and plans for the years ahead. The American taxpayers paid $13,200 for General Hsu and his party to have a 4-day visit to Hawaii.
Yeah, who's this?
It's Ricky from Life Invader. I know you're the bro who deactivated Jay, bro.
Otherwise known as
I have no idea what you're talking about now.
That is essentially a
what
naval
you
arm
do
of the
is your
People's
business,
Liberation
bro.
Army.
Anyway,
It was also
Jay
a
really
major
got a
arms
big
supplier
head
to
once people
dictators
started
and
calling him a
terrorists.
god. Guess you
In
thought he
1996,
wasn't one. They
a Costco
reintegrated
ship
my
called
team in
the
Burundi
Empress
after
Phoenix
the design got
sailed
signed
into the
off.
port of
And
Oakland,
now,
California,
my shares
carrying
ain't worth dick.
2,000
Sorry
automatic
about that.
weapons
I need
that were
work,
destined for
and
Los
I
Angeles
thought
street
maybe you could
The
provide. I
chairman
mean, I'm
of
smart
one of
enough
the
to
two
track you
Chinese arms
down,
companies
aren't I?
implicated
I
in
guess you
the
are.
case, later had
Hey, I'll be in
coffee
touch
at
if
the
anything
White House.
comes up.
Bullshit.
The naval station in Long Beach, California closed in
You should have been
1991,
let these killers
but
keep
it did
it
not
off.
remain unoccupied.
Yeah,
The Marine
stupid
Reserve
damn
Training
thing.
Center that had been destroyed by an earthquake was allowed space there. But Costco also wanted the naval station. So in November 1996,
Don't
the White
touch
House
me!
placed a series of
you don't
phone
have to
calls
call
to
to
Long
tell me
Beach
that.
officials.
Not you!
The
The
Clinton
Dieter Sachs
administration
store
made it
detective.
clear
There's
that
been a
leasing
misunderstanding.
the
I need you to
Costco
help clear
was
it
their
up.
preference. In the end, the United States Marines
now you want.
lost their space.
All right, I'm
And
coming.
Communist China's Costco, with the help of Bill Clinton, got what they had lobbied for. They got control of the naval station at Long Beach.
Johnny Chung is a Taiwanese businessman and lives in Southern California. Probably a little bit better than some of the rest
Now
of this
she
crowd that shows up in this little product. We think marginally better. He was trying to promote his business interests, and he was pretty honest about how he saw things. For example, he's famous for saying that the White House is just like the turnstile in the subway. You have to put coins in to pass the gate. And he put a lot of coins in, something in the order of several hundred thousands of dollars. In fact, he dropped a $50,000 check.
He's got my car! All right, let's go! Let's go!
Depending on what record you use,
Chill out. It's under control.
Get us out of here!
And the
Relax,
question
I
then
got
is,
this.
where did the money come from that he was donated to the Democratic Committee? And we believe that a lot of the money he was donated
Don't worry. I know what I'm doing.
sources.
Johnny Chung went to Hillary Clinton with a number of requests for Chinese officials.
I'm on top of
A
it.
meeting with President Clinton. A tour of the White House. Lunch at the White House. A photo opportunity with the First Lady. An invitation to attend the President's radio address. Every request was granted. And on March 11, 1995,
Relax,
Johnny
I got
Chung and his
this.
communist Chinese
Is
friends
that it?
attended President Clinton's weekly
Of course
radio
they're gone.
address.
Who are you talking to?
It all fell into
Come on,
place
I'll take you back to the
after
house.
Chung handed a check for $50,000
Don't
made
say
out
it.
to the DNC,
Then I have
the
everything I
Democratic
want, so
National
why am I
Committee,
stealing?
to
Oh,
Hillary's
my
chief of
lips are
staff,
sealed.
Maggie
Because if
Williams,
you say that,
following a March
I'll say
9th
the same to
photo
you.
opportunity with
I'm
the
not
First
saying
Lady.
anything. I'm just doing my best to keep us out of jail.
Where are you going? I mean, who are you
Two
to
photographs in
judge me?
particular speak
Oh,
volumes
I'm
about
not
the
judging.
dealings this one
No,
has
not at all.
The
You're
first
loving
shows
this, aren't
President Clinton and the
Oh,
First
yeah.
Lady with
Risking
Macau
prison,
criminal
getting
syndicate
shot
figure
at.
Nick
Love,
Roxanne.
love.
The second
Big
photo
love.
was taken at the Sai Buddhist Temple and shows
So
Vice
this is what
President
it's like to
Gore
be you.
with Ted Cioli.
Not
It's
really,
important
honey.
to recall
See,
that
I'm a
both men are in the business
semi-successful
of
crook.
exploiting
You're a bit of a
Asian
failure,
women
but hey,
for
kudos for
prostitution.
trying.
Not that
Many of these women are
witness
underage
protection.
and are sold
Well, I've got
into
an idea.
slavery by
Why
their
don't we see what Agent
poverty-stricken
Dave and the
families.
FIB think of this lovers
Often
on the
they
run?
are encouraged to develop
Are we going
narcotic
home?
habits in order to keep
You
them
know,
dependent.
I'm sort of thankful for this.
Who would have guessed
Thankful?
Bill
This is
Clinton
the
and
worst
Al
day of
Gore
my life.
would literally
Ah,
sit
come on, you're
down
doing
to
your
dinner
part.
with
Your
these
spending
men
habits have got
in
us into a
exchange
sticky
for
financial
millions of dollars
situation, so
in
you're cutting
illegal
corners.
donations.
Really?
Much of the money
My
coming
spending
from their
habits. I've
prostitution.
seen your day trader
The
account.
evidence clearly
Oh,
establishes
hey,
that
that's
important
private.
technology,
I
missile
swear, password
technology,
protection, it ain't even
computer
sacred no more.
technology,
Give it
and
up.
probably in
You
the near
pissed our
future,
savings
nuclear
down the toilet.
technology
Really?
has been
Our
and will be
savings?
made available
Yeah,
to the
our
government of
savings.
China.
I gave up everything to start
This
this
will
life with you,
have,
you
I
selfish
believe,
shit.
and already has been,
Yeah, okay,
very
all right,
serious,
whatever.
devastating
Our
consequences
savings.
for us
It's
and
just,
perhaps some of
look,
our
you
allies.
can't look at the
For
day-by-day
example,
figures. You gotta look
the
at the
communist
overall,
Chinese
you know,
long march
the
off,
net
which never marched
figure.
very long
I've
because
seen the net.
they
It's a
kept
fucking
blowing up.
disgrace.
Hey,
Their
I'm bringing it
decoupling
around.
systems were
Sure you
inadequate.
are.
Their guidance
Just please
systems
give me
were
some
inadequate.
warning before they repossess.
So they did not
Ain't that
pose
bad.
as serious
Couple of
a
weeks.
threat as they
A
otherwise
day even.
would.
I
to
don't
the
wanna
United
be
States
there.
of America.
Honey, we're
Now,
fine.
as a result
Sure.
of decisions by the
Can we
Clinton
drive home,
administration to
please?
relax export controls, and based on actions by certain U.S. companies who put the almighty dollar ahead of our national security and the national security of this country and our citizens, Communist China now has been able to remedy the problems with their
Get rid of the car, Michael. It can't stay in the driveway.
The United
Oh,
States, or
yeah.
that are used to launch
Thank
satellites into orbit. They now have been able to solve the decoupling problems and the guidance problems, so they pose, one, a direct danger to this country because we've enhanced the capability of the Communist Chinese government to launch successfully missiles at the United States and place into orbit spy satellites. Moreover, that technology is now, we already know, finding its way to third countries that are adversarial to us as well, such as Iran. Thirdly, from a commercial standpoint, by virtue of our enhancing the ability
We give motherfuckers our technology to fuck us up with. We could have been the first ones with solar power, having shit being cheaper than the electricity company and coal bullshit.
Commercial standpoint as well, this poses a direct threat to the national security of the United States of America and our allies.
The following are a few of the many casualties of those having knowledge or involvement in one or more of the Clinton scandals. In order to save time, only a partial list is shown. July 1978, Susan Coleman allegedly became pregnant after having an affair with Clinton, a problem which threatened to disrupt Clinton's election. She committed suicide by shooting herself in the back of the head. August 1991. Danny Casoloro was a reporter who investigated various scandals in Arkansas, including Clinton's Arkansas Development and Finance Authority and MENA. He had warned his family that his life was in danger, and if he were found dead of an apparent accident or suicide, not to believe it. Casoloro was found dead in a bathtub in a West Virginia hotel room with his wrist slit. His death was ruled a suicide. July 1992, C. Victor Racer II was a national finance co-chairman of Clinton's presidential campaign, who died in a plane crash near Anchorage, Alaska. With his inside knowledge of the Clinton administration, he allegedly had become disillusioned by what he had seen, and thus became a potential liability. His son Montgomery also died in the same crash. Herschel Friday was a member of Victor Racer's campaign finance committee. Although he was a top-notch pilot, he died a year and a half later when his plane crashed and exploded as it approached the runway. His death was ruled an accident. September 1992, Paul Kelly, Democratic National Committee political director, was a friend and trusted advisor of Clinton. He was found dead due to unknown causes in his hotel room. December 1992, Paula Goldberg was a speech interpreter and had traveled with Clinton extensively from 1978 until her death. She died in a car accident. December 1992, Jim Wilhite was an associate of Mac McClarty's former firm. He had called McClarty just hours before dying in a skiing accident. January 1993, Ed Crawford, the former Clinton campaign finance chairman in Arkansas, was found dead in a hotel room. May 1993, John Wilson, a Washington, D.C. city councilman, had decided to come forward with inside knowledge he possessed regarding Whitewater. Wilson was found dead. His death was ruled a suicide. June 1993, Paul Wiltshire, a Washington, D.C. attorney, wrote a 105-page letter to Attorney General Janet Reno describing evidence he had concerning drug and gun running out of Mena, Arkansas. On the first page of his letter, he stated, quote, "The lives of key participants, other witnesses, and even myself are now in grave danger as a result of my passing this information on to you. If you let this information fall into the hands of the wrong persons, some or all of those who know the truth could well be silenced in the very near future," unquote. Wiltshire was found dead in his apartment. The coroner did not rule on the cause of death. August 1993, John Walker was a senior investigator for the Resolution Trust Corporation. He was looking for information concerning a $50 million transfer from an RTC fund in Chicago to Madison Guaranty Savings and Loan to cover up a $47 million embezzlement scheme that included Whitewater and the Clintons. Walker mysteriously fell to his death from an apartment balcony. His death was ruled a suicide. September 1993, Dr. Stanley Hurd was a longtime friend and family physician of the Clintons and was chairman of Hillary's Health Reform Committee. He was killed in a plane crash only a few days after Stephen Dixon, the attorney for the Health Reform Committee, had been killed in the crash of his own light plane. March 1994, Dr. Donald Rogers, the Clintons' dentist, was traveling to meet London Sunday Telegraph reporter Ambrose Evans Pritchard with information on the Clinton scandals. Rogers and his pilot were killed when their twin-engine Cessna crashed in clear weather near Lawton, Oklahoma. Their deaths were ruled an accident. May 1994, Gandhi Ball, Dan Lassiter's attorney, committed suicide by jumping out of the window of a tall building. His partner committed suicide 1 month later. June 1994, Stanley Huggins was a partner in a Memphis law firm who investigated the dealings of Madison Guaranty Savings and Loan. He produced a 300-page report that has never been made public. Huggins was found dead, reportedly of viral pneumonia. July 1994, Calvin Walraven was a 24-year-old police informant. He testified for the prosecution against Kevin Elders, son of Surgeon General Jocelyn Elders, which resulted in the conviction of Mr. Elders for drug trafficking. A few days later, after the trial, Mr. Walraven was found with a gunshot wound to the head. His death was ruled a suicide. October 1994, Florence Martin was an accountant who allegedly had documents as well as the PIN number to to an account that had been set up in the name of Barry Seal for $1.46 million at the Fuji Bank in the Cayman Islands. Martin was found dead of 3 gunshot wounds to the head. November 1996. Barbara Wise was a Commerce Department staffer. She was found dead in her locked office at the Department of Commerce, partially nude and covered with bruises.
Why don't you stick your nose up Tracy's butt sometime? Because Tracy doesn't buy cars she can't afford, so that thugs break in our house. Tracy doesn't get kidnapped or destroy my yacht. Well, that's just because she's too busy getting fucked by dudes to get on
giving y'all the
TV.
truth
You don't talk about your sister.
about who we about to live
I'm
in
sorry,
the
but it's
election
true. I mean,
as
according to her
president.
Life page, she's hanging out
So
with producers and
I
going
kill
on
it right
Saturday.
there
What are you talking about? Actually,
and say
it's all
that
happening right out
this
there.
is about some
That boat that
fucking
makes yours look like a
bullshit.
refugee raft?
If we allow
You know the kind of boat. The
the
one that
devil
makes a young,
back in the White House that's already
drop
been
her
in the
pants
White
and
House
spread her legs.
that was with the top devil that was our color.
Fuck.
So
Dad, wait.
it is what it is. But what you got to realize is we can stop this shit. But we at least try. Cause we can't stop shit. Them motherfuckers rule the motherfuckers. They rule this shit. But iron thumb. I ain't lying. So let's go. We just gonna listen to music and get our mind right. So like I said, truth is the truth. Slippery, so lies can't hold on. Lies just slide off, and the truth carries on. In the Creator's perfect world, in the sun's literally the divine light of all life, the sun. It's mind-boggling how people at the top play with the truth. The truth is slippery simply because here in Babylon, the truth ain't the truth. Here in Babylon, the truth is as twisted as a pretzel stick and twice as salty. Simply because nobody really wants to deal with the truth, but the truth shows what they be. Assholes in their own right.
Yeah, you're embarrassing her.
Because when you playing with the truth and then playing with somebody else's life, when you turning their truth into a lie, because you can, because you higher up in the hierarchy to do so. Like I said, think that in itself is some bullshit. Just for somebody that's supposed to be upholding the law, breaking the law, and there's no one there to hold them to what they supposed to be doing as it's crazy. I ain't gonna kill them.
OMG, they're coming! Go into that outlet!
All right.
Oh my god! Shit! They're shooting at us!
It's mind-boggling to say that we the people are being treated just like people. Like I said again, we the people are being treated just like people. Like sheep. We ain't being treated like people. When Hillary Clinton could lay up there and do that shit in Bosnia and lie to the people, but tell her family the truth, right there lets you know who she give a fuck about and who she don't. Fuck about the people. She give a fuck about her people. Period.
Hey, turd buckets! If you kill us, you'll be jailed, and the sea shark will be impounded!
Well, I'll say to you, that's some bullshit in its own right. In its own right, that's like some bullshit. Because if Hillary Clinton can be like that, that don't make no sense.
How is tapping us going to solve anything?
It don't make no sense. y'all gonna let her be president after all this lying? After all the murdering that her husband he didn't do? So believe you me, he got somebody to do it. Because ain't no coincidence like all them coincidences.
No, it's not okay. Not at all.
Hey, we're alive, aren't we? Those psychos didn't kill you.
Psychos? Only you can get
That
me
was some
chased
food
out of a
music.
party with effing
We'll
guns.
get one more of them.
Yeah, huh? Well, maybe you're in the wrong fucking parties.
We'll go around this boat right there. Since we ain't cooking all the time limit. So, besides showing y'all the murdering ass Clintons, I also go back to this game of this bullshit. This game here, I won't never stop saying how I feel about this game. This game is some bullshit that really fucking kids up. What I mean by that is what I said. It really got kids really fucked up. Especially when you lay up there and see it for what it really is. This game is not made for kids. And kids play it like it is. And moms and dads is allowing this shit. And that's what I'm saying. Don't make no sense.
Hello? What are we doing?
I want to take a picture of that there right there. We go. So, I think of all the bullshit that's going on. I think of people that know what's going on. And it ain't like this is motherfucking shit nobody don't know about. And I'm trying to tell you, they didn't know about it. It wouldn't be on TV.
There he is! Jimmy, you David!
And it wasn't allowed to be on there.
He's the fucking asshole, okay? He smashed my TV and he took me to the beach. The beach with my skin.
So what, you sent him out to spoil my day too?
I didn't know that he was gonna come get you. I just told him where you were. You know, he got that crazy look in his eyes, you know, like he gets sometimes, and he just went.
I'm getting us to town.
I'm coming with you.
How about I just drive us home?
You ruined my life.
Now we're going to switch it and we're going to go back online. Now that we finished the movie about the murdering ass Clintons or the devious, conniving, snake in the grass, old devil looking ass white woman. When you look at that white woman, you see all kind of evil in that bitch. I'm serious. And I don't really live there and talk about women as much as I love them and shit, but she don't get no pass. None. Not just because she's not a woman, she's a man with a pussy. Because that's a bad woman, therefore. When you hear her after being rubbed the wrong way by anybody, you get to see that she ain't somebody to play with. I saw it for myself in one of her interviews, and this black man was talking to her, and he was getting too close to her, and you saw her react to that shit. But I see again, there's a lot of bullshit going on in the White House, and we ain't a part of that shit. We are nothing but people. But that's just it. We gotta stand up as the people and realize that shit, we run this shit. Well, at least supposed to. Because we left out in every motherfucking decision that there possibly is. And y'all know this. I ain't lying. I'm just gonna go to the top of my boat, take me a seat, turn on the TV, and talk to y'all while watching that TV. Just sitting here watching the havoc, the mayhem that these kids are doing on this game. It's insane. Because I'll say to any of y'all so-called parents, y'all don't give a fuck about y'all kids. If y'all put y'all kids in front of this game, you'll give a lovely fuck about your kids. Because there's nothing on this game that a kid should learn how to do that's gonna make their life better. Everything on this game will hinder a kid's living status. Why I say it will hinder a kid's living status? Think about it. And then you have it. It's going to hinder the kid's status simply because what are they learning? They are not learning nothing. Nothing that's going to make them a better person. This teaches them to be the worst that they can be. So like I said again, I'm just chilling. Just chilling. Like I said again, I like the game. I like having fun on the game as far as doing missions. And that's when I can come together with some people that I already know don't like really coming together. They just like killing each other. But the mind and the concept and the spirit that the game brings is confusing to these little new minds that just starting out in this thing called life. I'm just saying, gotta live in and see this for what it really is. Kids not being kids. Because they don't have no avatar or no Lego man on here or any of that type of shit. This just, like I say again, kids wilding out. Just like that little word they made up, wilding out. But they wilding out simply because their mom and dads are already wild out and then gave them, what? This game to finish their ass off. Because like this dude here, he way in the country, he done killed everybody in the ball. Now he waiting for the police to deal with them. Or the violence that this game perpetrate in real life, man. Y'all gotta realize this is a spirit that journeys out of this game. Because the principalities is in the world already. And this game just helps promote them. Because any way you look at it, don't nothing make you do nothing. You have free will on everything that you do. Because at the end of the day, it's always going to be on you anyway. So you better live there and realize something. And stop bullshitting with yourself. Hey, he got popped off. People ain't playing with you no more, boy. It hurts me to my heart to say that a lot of people don't even much care. But then when the shit hit the fan, that's when they'll be saying, fuck happened. But right now, nobody really care about what's going on. Everybody going on with their life, hunky-dory, and saying, oh, fuck all that bullshit. Hey, when the shit really hit the fucking fan, if you don't have no umbrella, shit gonna get on you. I got my umbrella for all this shit. But what hurts me is the people that's in this shit, eyes closed. That hurts me more than anything. Because when the shit hits the fan, your ass gonna be left in the dust. You gonna be that one talking about, what's going on? Help me. What about me? What about me? Yeah, you would think about you when everybody was coming together when this shit was happening. You was being selfish by yourself. So when this shit happened, you're by yourself and you're wondering how you end up by yourself. Because, one, it was, I'm sorry to say, you don't have no family. Or you fucked over your family and your family won't have nothing to do with you. But anyway it goes. Shit that's about to happen now, you're gonna need some family to get through it. This ain't gonna be some shit that you can just think you can just go through all by your own hunky door and don't have nothing to hold on to that stability for you. You're gonna have to have a helping hand because two gonna always be better than one. And it's gonna definitely be better than one in this shit that's about to come. I'm just saying, even if it was not to happen, the best thing is for any human being here is to be prepared mentally for if it do happen. I do not want to be in no one's concentration camp. I do not want no one to go to no fucking war. I do not want no one to die behind some else's bullshit. I'm just saying. Well, you actually thought you could get in that car without the police and killing you, you must be losing your mind. So, I done gave y'all 2 hours of the murdering sentence, a little bit of myself, but I say it again, it is some bullshit when it comes down to everything that's going on dealing with our government. Our government ain't shit. We need to get rid of the fucking government and do some new shit. Because this old shit is for the fucking birds. And if you look at it, they treating us like birds. Because that's exactly how they feeding you if you're not eating the proper food. But that's how they feeding you as far as giving you something to work with. I'm just saying. So now you gotta realize now, it ain't about something to work with. It's about you making something out of nothing to work with for to make your family a better family. Boy, I'm gonna get my airplane. I want to see you get off there with it. They always blow my ass up. Oh yeah, you did. I ain't gotta worry about you. You ain't getting in no plane, partner. All right, yeah, you is. You ain't much got the window to come on here yet. Oh no, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah, say goodbye, motherfucker. I guarantee you don't get to that. You don't get to that plane. I guarantee you don't get that plane. I guarantee you don't get that plane. I guarantee you don't get that plane. You can run all you want. They gonna deal with you. We talking about the army, partner. Hand up on tank. Booyah! You about to do a flying toast. That tank didn't not only just hit you, that tank annihilated you. You ain't even wanna go flying in it. Ooh, you ain't wanna go flying in the air like normally. You ain't even wanna go flying in the air like normally. That tank just took care of you. Still see that front part of that car, make that car look ugly. So this here, people make this here gift of life. Be my last song. Cause what I'm gonna share with y'all on this gift of life is what's right with logic and making sense. And here we go. It's man-made for you to think that there is a Father in heaven when the heaven is in you, and the Father is the Father of you unless you are Father to your children. Because when I say there is no Father in heaven, and the prayers are said, our Father who art in heaven, and then it goes on, that's man-made bullshit. Because I'll say again, there is no Father in heaven. When you look at the divine life of all life, is the one and only Son, which came down here in human form to see how it feels to be a human being here in flesh, bone, spirit, and all. I'm just saying, to see what we see, to do what we do, and feel it too. See, the feeling part is what's the real part of there not having no Father in heaven. Because in order to say the Creator's name in vain, you should first know the Creator's name, which there is no name for the Creator when the Creator is your feelings. Creativity is the Creator in you. It is the divine that's always on your mind, that won't change your mind, that you have dealing with your free will. Yes, the Creator will nudge you to do right, but you have free will to choose which one you will to do for free. But you gotta know that the consequences and repercussions is gonna definitely come back in the circle of life. Not necessarily to you. It might just come back to me. Just because you know me and love me and have fun with me and feel like you can protect me, and you can't. The whole thing on the journey that we live on is all about you knowing what you are capable of. No bullshit. So I say to you, use your consciously thinking mind so you can consciously think with your own mind and stop thinking what somebody else wants you to think. I know that everything basically I was taught by repetition from a little kid to being an adult and being able to sort through that bullshit, to pick and choose what I want to use out of all the bullshit that I was taught in this shit. But you just gotta know what type of shit that you in when you know that you in this shit, born in it from up to your eyeballs in it. So I'm just saying, there is no Father in heaven, because when you look at the Creator is the teacher of what was created from Mother Earth. Did not have a father. Adam was taught to be a father once. He became a father after being intimate with Eve. So, man was created to be a worker bee with consciously thinking. Worker bee. That's what man's job was supposed to be. A consciously thinking worker bee for the queen bee to be here successfully to go on with life after he planted that seed. For him to be indeed a true father to his seed. So there indeed is the truth for you to see and sort out for yourself. Because the creativity is the divine in you. That wouldn't be divine if the Creator wouldn't allow you to use your own mind with your free will. I'm just saying. And this is a tribute I gave to a young lady that died in New Orleans East. And I knew the girl's mama that died. She was friends with my baby mama. So I had to do something because I felt the compassion of what happened. And I was compelled to say or do something to throw back to my hometown, New Orleans. And here it is. At the end of that, she said it. She alright with any decision that white Jesus and God that man made. Because believe it or not, the creativity in her is selling her, but she really hurting inside too though. I'm Mr. Glasses. And that's the end of this, we gonna say game bullshit.